Welcome to Movie Speeching. Spoilers ahead. Watch out and take good care. The Devil Conspiracy is the name of the movie. Please like and subscribe to get every update. Millions of years ago, Lucifer attempted to lead a rebellion against God and was punished by banishment from heaven. He fell straight into hell, and the Archangel Michael chained him to a large rock, leaving behind his own sword as a seal. Before Michael left, Lucifer swore that one day he would return to equality with God. Over the years, Lucifer gathered demons to help him plan his revenge, and his followers built a mansion around the hole he fell through to await his return. It is 2022, and art historian Laura is studying in Italy. She wanted to write a thesis about the fact that the great Italian artists did not really believe in the angels and demons they depicted in their works, but her professor disapproved of this idea because it insulting Italian history. Worse, he offers to discuss the thesis privately in his apartment, forcing Laura to run away from the bad guys. Moments later, Laura meets Father Marconi, who gives her a special ticket that gives her access to all the exhibits in his church, including the new Shroud of Turin exhibition. This shroud contains the blood of Jesus after his crucifixion. The priest gives Laura a tour of the entire site, and after seeing the shroud, Marconi shows her their latest apparition, a beautiful statue of Michael defeating Lucifer. The duo discussed the concept of evil for a while, then Marconi left Laura so she could paint the statue for her thesis. While drawing, Laura thought she heard someone say her name, but there was no one around, and she assumed it was her imagination. With only a few hours left, the exhibition is about to end. A crow flew around the building and landed near the entrance as it transformed into Liz to join the last group of visitors. Instead of following instructions, she walked through a forbidden door, noticed by the guard on the security camera. Liz walked down the hallway of statues and watched Laura paint from afar, only stopping when she suddenly noticed Lucifer's head on the statue moving. Laura begins to worry again and checks around, only to be startled by a crow at the window. While Laura was distracted by the bird, Liz stole Michael's sword from the statue and left. Once there, a guard spots Laura thinking she is the hooded person who broke away from the group, but Laura proves she has access to the area. The guard left thinking it was a misunderstanding after reminding Laura that they were closing. Laura packed her things and noticed Michael's hand, but she couldn't tell the difference. She then approached the front door, but because it was locked, she looked for another exit. When she returned to the hallway, she was shocked to see Liz kill the guard with a sword and take his head. Terrified, Laura runs away and hides in the confessional, allowing her to see Liz turn off the alarm with the guard's eye and use her sword to smash the glass protecting the shroud to steal the relic. Marconi heard the noise and went to stop him, but Liz stabbed him. Liz's henchmen then arrived to help protect the shroud, but on the way out, Liz sees Laura in the cabin and orders her men to take her away. After the group left the room, Marconi used his last breath to pray and asked Michael to use his body to stop Lucifer. Michael immediately descends from heaven and grabs the priest's body to chase after Liz's group, who leave in their car. His angelic powers allow him to run quite fast, but human flesh cannot withstand that power and Michael must stop to avoid destroying his body. Meanwhile, a group of wealthy people observe a child prodigy playing the violin with admirable skill. After the performance, Dr. Laurent explains that this child is a clone of Antonio Vivaldi, another in a long list of clones his company has created by taking DNA from their graves. The children were then auctioned off to wealthy parents, and today's item is a replica of Michelangelo. At the auction, Liz shows up to let Laurent know that they have the shroud. Moments later, the group arrives at Lucifer Villa. Laurent is happy to see the shroud because he can finally clone Jesus, while Laura is chained in a glass cell with Brenda and two other women. One of them kept crying and screaming, but Laura used gentle words to calm him down. Laura also thought they should work together, but before they could plan anything, a team of nurses entered the cell to take over her life support. Meanwhile, Michael returns to the church and finds the other priests reviewing the security tapes. The men are shocked to see Marconi alive, but Michael does not offer an explanation but asks about the guardians of the shroud. The priests explained that Cardinal Vincini was in charge of the protection, but he became unstable and began talking about beasts and secret cults, which everyone blamed on madness. Michael cannot believe that the priests do not believe what the Bible says and demands to know Vincini's whereabouts, knowing that he is now a hermit living alone in a refugee camp. Michael then films the security footage, asking about Laura by showing them her pass and making the priests promise that they won't tell anyone that they saw her. Michael then borrowed a jacket and got into Marconi's car, taking some medicine he found in the glove compartment to ease the pain caused by his powers. Meanwhile, a crow followed him without his knowledge. While the villa scientists work hard to extract Jesus' DNA from the shroud, Michael arrives at the asylum and meets Vincini, who is armed and frightened. However, as soon as Vincini touched Michael, he understood that he was more than just a priest and immediately believed him when he said that he was an angel. Vincini knows Liz and shows Michael the mansion they built around Hellhole and explains that this asylum was built for guard purposes. The Bible talks about Lucifer returning one day, and to do that, he needs two ancient beasts from both worlds. One is a woman woman, an obvious reference to Liz, and the other is the beast of the earth. Over the years, Lucifer's followers have brought him children to possess, but these human bodies are not strong enough to contain him. This is why they stole the shroud. They planned to clone Jesus because he was the only one with a body strong enough for Lucifer to take over. Michael felt disgusted by what he heard and promised to stop them, so Vincini led Michael to the foot of the mountain villa. Michael's presence in the area causes his sword to react, and Lucifer is now able to pull the chain to finally free himself from the seal. In the villa, the women try to find a way to break the chains while discussing their personal lives, which reveals that Laura has lost her husband and children. Laurent does some testing and discovers that Laura is 100% compatible, so Liz orders him to speed up the process. The nurses then return to the cell to take the girls away, but they use the chains to try to defend themselves. Unfortunately, other nurses arrived and quickly subdued them and took Brenda and Laura into the operating room. There, doctors implanted a fertilized egg with Jesus' DNA into the girl's uterus, and Liz proceeded to introduce herself as an angel of God. She told Laura that she knew it was her because she had seen sketches of Lucifer in church and they were very inspirational. Meanwhile, Vincini leaves Michael at the entrance to a secret cave that will lead him to the mansion. Before leaving, Vincini noticed the crow following them and shot it before giving the gun to Michael, who immediately began entering the cave. Moments later, Laura and Brenda dress as brides and are taken to a gathering of Lucifer worshippers where they are chained to a pillar. Then the monster came from the ground and picked up the girls and placed them in a giant bird cage that was lowered inside the well to protect the underworld. Suddenly, a group of demons appear around the cage and hold the women down while Lucifer transforms her body into his essence so he can penetrate Brenda through her mouth. For a few seconds, Brenda fought against the demons, but in the end she could not bear it anymore and died. Lucifer then left her body and instead entered the body of Laura, who managed to survive the possession without problem. Laura then walks out, stunned, and Liz introduces her as the chosen one before taking her to a new glass cell with a bed and a vital signs monitor. When Laura asked what it was about her, Liz replied that it was a better Jesus. Returning to Michael, he finally found a door in the cave tunnel and opened it to enter the mansion. The guards noticed him immediately, and when Michael did not use his gun, he was shot in the shoulder. He responded by knocking out the guards with a few blows, after which he stole a uniform and access card so he wouldn't be noticed. Michael enters the lab and retrieves the shroud before viewing the security cameras to determine Laura's location. At this moment, Laurent entered the laboratory, but Michael immediately pushed him against the table and demanded answers. Laurent's only answer is that he is working for a new beginning. Michael decides to open the gas cans and light a flare to blow up the entire lab, putting a fire between him and the arriving guards. Fire alarms start ringing throughout the building and Laura asks the nurse to let her go, but the guy won't let her leave the cell. Suddenly, Michael arrives and after knocking out the nurse, Laura hugs him thinking that Marconi is still alive after all. However, Michael is distracted because Lucifer begins talking to him telepathically, teasing him about his freedom. Michael does not understand how his seal was broken and becomes angry, causing Laura to believe that he is part of the enemy. Terrified, Laura runs away, but Michael quickly chases her and drags her into a room before the guards find her. Laura responded by taking his gun and pointing it at him, but Michael convinced her that he stayed by her side while he tended to the gunshot wound. Laura then explains what they did to her, so Michael decides to take her with him to protect her. Liz sees them leaving and sends her henchmen after them, but she kills one of the guards when he almost shoots Laura because she shouldn't be hurt. Michael and Laura try to escape through the cave tunnel, but the baby grows too fast and Laura begins to feel unwell. Their slowness gives the beast time to catch up with them and it begins to fight Michael, who initially fights well, but soon his human body begins to fail again and the beast wrestling defeats him. Liz arrives with the goons and recaptures Laura, who threatens to hurt the baby if they hurt the priest. However, Liz reminds her that the priest is dead and she must kill the angel as well. While Laura was taken back to her cell and tied to the bed, Michael was chained in the well room. He uses his powers to destroy the chains and free himself, but this leaves him extremely weak. After dragging his body across the ground, he reached the well and opened it to jump in just before the monster could grab him. Upon arriving in hell, Michael is attacked by a demon, which he quickly repels. He examined the rock and was shocked to see that his sword was not there. More demons arrive and use Lucifer's sword to imprison Michael just like he did to Lucifer years ago. Meanwhile, the baby continued to grow in Laura's womb at a superhuman speed. Liz tells Laura that this baby will replace the one she lost, but she refuses to call them that. During the ultrasound, Laura observed the baby on the screen and was shocked to see it suddenly crawl up and roar at her, but at that moment she woke up and realized it was just a dream. She finds Liz sitting next to her, who wants to know if Lucifer is talking to her. Since Laura didn't answer, Liz started talking about how Lucifer fought the tyrant they called God, and when Laura said she didn't care, Liz slapped her. Liz promises that she will release Laura after she gives birth, but for now, she asks for respect. Moments later, a group of children found Michael on the rock. It turns out that the failed sacrifices themselves exist together in hell. Michael promises that he can take them home if he finds his sword, but the children are not sure they can trust the angels because Lucifer is one of them. Unfortunately, the demons interrupt the conversation and the children run away, but some of them are captured and Michael can only watch in disappointment. Back in the cell, Lucifer's essence temporarily leaves Laura's womb and enters her mind through her ear to make her an offer she can't refuse. If Laura accepts him into her life, Lucifer will help kill the man who murdered her family and also Liz, whom Laura hates. Accepting the deal, Laura lay down on the bed and agreed to let Lucifer take care of the baby as she dreamed of holding the child in her arms and bonding with him. Liz watches all of this and begins to worry that Laura is getting too strong. Later, while a nurse is performing an examination, Laura uses her new powers to turn off the lights and kill the nurse. She then left the room and encountered another nurse, who immediately began hitting and kicking him until he died. Suddenly, Laura escaped Lucifer's dark clutches and, terrified by what she had just done, decided that she had to kill the baby before things got worse. This causes Lucifer to ask her not to do it while calling her mother. Laura ignored Lucifer's voice and ran into the closet as the guards began chasing her. After locking the door, Laura took a bottle of chlorine and resisted Lucifer's control to drink it. When Laura vomited and began to stir in pain, Liz broke down the door and scolded Laura for what she had done to the baby. When preparing to go find a doctor, Laura suddenly used her strength to close the door and push Liz to the ground, causing her to vomit in her face. It turns out that Lucifer is now in control of her body and he is the one punishing Liz for her mistakes. Liz wished she could be the one to carry the baby, but Lucifer ignored her pleas and gave her new orders. After the birth, no one can know what happened here, so everyone must die. He also worries that Laura and the baby are linked, meaning she must also be killed after birth. Then Lauren arrives and Lucifer beats him when he asks to be saved from the chlorine. Moments later, Laura's body was placed in a healing box. Lucifer's essence temporarily leaves his body and controls a demon in hell to speak to Michael to mock his failure, which is seen by the shadow children as proof that Michael is a guy good. After Lucifer left, Michael finally understood why God allowed this to happen and the children came to his rescue. They don't have the strength to free the demon's sword from its chains, so they go looking for Michael's own sword. They found it among the ruins, but before they could give it to Michael, a group of demons arrived and gave the children their freedom. The children hesitated for a moment, then they remembered what they had heard and gave the sword to Michael, who in a moment returned to his old form and killed the demons. After promising the children that he would return for them soon, Michael returned to Earth in Marconi's body and retrieved the shroud before returning to the main building. He knocks out a guard and steals a gun before reaching Laura, only for Lucifer's voice to answer him. Desperate for help, Michael started pushing the capsule to get it to another room where a nurse saw it. After locking the door, Michael opened the compartment and tried to explain that the baby was not what Laura thought, but Lucifer pushed it out with a powerful roar. Lucifer then guides Laura's body in front of Michael and announces that her water has broken before releasing the liquid onto the angel, burning her body. Michael tried to run away, but Lucifer grabbed him and held him against Laura's lap as he asked to be worshipped. When Michael refused, Lucifer stabbed him in the neck with Laura's finger, but Michael did not give up and shared the conclusion he had come to. God allowed this because if Lucifer entered the divine body of Jesus, Jesus will protect him under his control and seal him forever. Lucifer is furious upon hearing this and begins to rage, knocking Michael out in the process. When Liz arrives with the guards, Lucifer demands that she kill the baby, but Liz assumes it is Laura talking back and forces the guards to take her to the altar. At the top of Hell's Pit, Laura gave birth to the baby and Liz immediately took her away. Laura is still alone on the well and the beast opens the lid, causing her to fall before joining the others outside. Liz introduces their new savior to Lucifer's disciples and announces that he will be baptized with blood instead of water, after which the beast kills all the disciples, doctors, and guards. Lauren was shocked but happy to be spared, but after kissing the baby's head, the beast killed him too. Meanwhile, Michael woke up and used a gun to break the glass to escape the room. He enters the pit room and sees Laura hanging on the edge, so he helps her up before taking on their enemies together. Liz tried to pick up the baby in the car and leave, but Laura jumped on her and hit her before reaching the baby. Liz did not mean to harm Lucifer and Michael explained that the baby was not Lucifer. The devil didn't choose Laura, God did, and she gave birth to what would become Lucifer's eternal prison. Laura gets in the car and leaves to find Vincini while Michael stays to fight because the gates of hell are now open, meaning the demons will try to escape. Michael runs to the well and closes it, but is found by the monster and throws him away to start the well open again. Before the monster can do so, Michael discovers the explosives Liz left behind to remove the evidence and now activates them, causing an explosion that destroys the facility and covers the hole under all the pieces. Broken. Sometime later, Vincini takes Laura and the baby to the church and they return the shroud while Michael returns to hell to free all the children as promised. Years pass and Laura lives with Vincini in the refugee camp to protect the child who has grown up and and is in good health. One day, Liz snuck into the woods to check on her family and tried to call Lucifer, but when the devil tried to escape, the child simply reabsorbed him back into his body to keep him sealed. Thank you for watching. See you on the next video.